And now to our interview segment. My guest, Charles Edosonwo, is the Senior Advocate of Nigeria and a former Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice in Edo State. He was a delegate at the National Conference, and he says that the conference made far-reaching recommendations on issues still affecting the country and which would be of great benefit to the current administration. Let's start with some issues of public national interest now. Some northern leaders have recently come out to ask for a fresh national conference. They say that the national conference, which you were a part of, is a People's Democratic Party, a PDP affair. Now, what you make of this, their call for a fresh national conference?
The one we did last year has barely been interrogated by the country. It has not been sold to the country enough. I want to go for another jamboree. That will be maybe another kind of conference, not a national conference, not the kind of political reform conference that we had last year, which for me, I think is the most topical, the most purposive, and the best we've had since Nigeria started engaging in constitutionalism. I know there was a lot of politics around it. I went to that conference, for instance. I wasn't sent by any party. I guess parties were invited. The other parties came for the conference the way I was sent by the Benin people. You know, so anybody who wants to label it a PDP conference is probably just want to take points away from the effort that brought the conference about. But I must say something that there is a sore need for Nigerians to look at that document. Because for the first time, Nigerians had come together without the unctions of an external force or a compulsive force in the sense of a military junta heading us into a corner and telling us what not to talk about. You know, or a foreign power like the British and all these constitutional conferences that they used to go to those days, telling us what to talk about or what not to talk about. This time, the circumstances have made it imperative for Nigerians to come and, after 100 years, you know, to rethink this whole country, its structure. And after all these problems we've had, you know, the crises we've had over time, the civil war, whose scars are still quite evident, psychologically and physically, I found that the Nigerians from all parts of the country wanted to stay together. I, for instance, was mandated by my people to go there and talk for Nigeria's unity, even though we had interests to also urge. We were supposed to go there and urge our interests within a corporate unified Nigeria. I got there, found out that the Yorubas who came there were speaking the same language. The Igbo who came there were speaking the same language. The Fulani, Hausa Fulani that came there were speaking the same language. The Middle Belt people, the Tiv, you know, the Kwarafa, they were all speaking the same language. It was such a revelation for me, because before then I thought that it was going to be a conference of broken bottles and thrown chairs.
So what do you want the present administration to do with the reports that emerged from the national conference of which you were a part?
I had the opportunity and the privilege of meeting Mr. Vice President, you know, at the last Nigerian Bar Association and Nigerian Conference. And I put it to him that, look, now that the politics have come and gone, you know, the issue on the table at that time was the issue of judicial reforms, legal reforms. And I told him that I happen to have been a member of the Judiciary Committee, National Conference. And we made a lot of suggestions, you know, that will take care of inordinate delays in the judicial process, that will strengthen our judicial institutions, that will also make state judicial institutions strengthened in such a way that, you know, they'll be in command of state issues, you know, leaving out the ultimate decisions for weighty constitutional issues and civil liberties for the Supreme Court. For instance, our Supreme Court is a general appeals court. You can't have an apex court that is a general appeals court. Everything goes to the Supreme Court. two brothers are fighting over a hut in Benin. It gets to the Supreme Court. Somebody's civil liberty, the issue of right, to equitable, some noble fundamental right regarding civil liberties are being contested. That small parcel of land is struggling for space in the Supreme Court with this one. State issues. The Supreme Court has brought decisions in customary cases that when they come back to us, it is a total departure from what we, the Beninese, had intended it to be. It is not the beginning of the Supreme Court, for instance, to be declaring, becoming the ultimate court in matters of customs and traditions of people. There are experts in those states, and those states, if they have their own Supreme Courts for state matters, or they had a terminal court of appeal of this matter, should be able to take all those things. All those things, they're all in that paper. And now, who is going to say that these matters were talked about now? And there's very many other ones that had to do with some economic development, grave ones that had to do with devolution of powers, some quite, revolutionary ideas in political reform that would take our country forward. They were resolved in that matter by consensus.
At that conference.
There has no party color whatsoever.
Let's talk about another issue that is in the news. Some segments of society are calling for the abolition of the Federal Character Act. Former president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Olisa Agbakoba, is one of those who recently made the call that in the area of appointments, that emphasis should be more on merit rather than federal character. So do you think that the Federal Character Act has perhaps outlived its usefulness?
Well, you see, I can never be on the side that's against merit. And to that extent, some appointments that His Excellency General Buhari has made, crowd screen merit. I'll take, for instance, the managing director of the NNPC. Those of us in the industry know that Dr. Kachiku, Ibe Kachiku, is a first-class oil lawyer. And at this time, when we are going to be faced with a lot of knotty issues in resolving the problems in the industry, you need a man with that kind of mindset, a man whose mind can grasp the regulatory issues, a man whose mind can easily also grasp the legal issues, a man also whose long-time experience, pragmatics, won't also be his problem. So I do not know if Dr. Kachiku had a relationship with General Buhari before. I don't know any of that, but I think that's a first-class appointment. The Customs Comptroller General, even though a former military officer, his reputation, puts him forth as one who is about to do a great business. Then looking at the list of ministers, I'm saying that were being shown in the press, I see names there that are quite, meritorious. So I don't think that you can fault the president too much on that. President Buhari is quite taciturn. I think he should talk to the country more, talk to us more. Because we want to see a president who's not just silent but working. We want to see a president who's working and also telling us what he's doing. Having said that, Nigeria is still quite a sensitive country. And I can bet you have merit from all over the country. There's no point in this country where you say you won't find people of worth. So for anybody to try to give the impression that it's only in a particular segment of the country or a particular section of the country that you have people of worth, that's being bigotist, and it won't fly at all. But I won't put that to President Buhari at all.
And this is where we wrap up this episode of the program. Let's continue the conversation online. Do remember that you can find these and past episodes of the program on our YouTube channel. I am Shola Shieli. Thank you for watching.